Hey, what's going on guys? It's Dallas aka Infurness, and today I want to talk a little bit more about the recent passing of Article 13. A long time ago, before many of the people watching this video were even born, there was an idea to turn everything into an accessible network of websites and information, and only in the year 1990, which was only a little bit more than 20 years ago, this was the first creation of what is known today as the internet. Back then, there was literally nothing to go off of, and there was no search engines and barely any reasonable way to access any websites. There was no meme pages on Instagram and no YouTube Vine video compilations, and there wasn't even a concept of Google or anything similar to that. However, over time, this slowly developed and evolved to be more advanced and more user-friendly, which allowed more people to start using the internet freely and without any hassle. And eventually, the internet turned from just being something that the military would use to transfer private information between different places to becoming an entire new way for people to communicate with each other online with computers and even phones, which was a groundbreaking invention which allowed other people to invent a lot of things on it as well. And the main thing that has kept the internet being unique the entire time that it's existed was the fact that it's completely free from regulation and also completely free to use. Of course, nowadays you have to pay around $80 for any kind of ISP service to provide you with internet access, but for the most part the internet is 100% free, and a way people have used to express their ideas and opinions on things without having to be worried about being censored by any government within the internet or any laws that would stop them from doing so, even if what they were saying was considered controversial. Which is why Article 13, which has just been recently passed in the European Union, is going to change all of that. And definitely not in a good way. And yes, I did make another video about this before, but that video was made directly after everyone found out that it was officially passed. So it was basically a summary video of the basic details of what Article 13 was and what would happen as soon as it was passed. But now I wanted to talk about it in more detail, since a lot of people still didn't fully understand it. And the biggest misunderstanding that I saw was the fact that people thought that it wouldn't affect them simply because they didn't live in Europe or the places that were affected. Some people didn't think it would affect them at all, and some people actually didn't even know what Article 13 was. And that's probably one of the biggest issues. When Article 13 finally goes into action within 2 years from now, it will essentially make every single person on the internet responsible for the copyright of everything that they post. So if you make YouTube videos, you'll have to make sure that every single part of your video is not copyrighted. And of course, YouTube itself can't make people do that, so the responsibility will end up being theirs instead. So websites such as YouTube, which allow people to post whatever they want, will have two options to do. They will either need to integrate an extremely advanced system which can detect all sorts of copyrighted material from every single video that's posted on the entire website, or they'll have to block YouTube entirely from all of the countries that Article 13 is supported in. And since it would take a tremendous amount of money and it would be basically impossible to integrate that kind of a system within YouTube, they would obviously just jump to banning YouTube in Europe. Which means if you live in Europe, you won't be able to go on YouTube, or Google, or any other content sharing website. Well, that's okay, I'll just get a VPN and then no one will ever know that I live in Europe. Well, you're right, a VPN will definitely change your computer's IP address, which will make websites think you're in a different place. However, your internet service provider will always know where you are exactly. And it would be extremely easy for any country to just outright ban VPNs. So how will this affect everyone even if you don't live in the European Union? Well, there's approximately 4 billion people that use the internet in total, and the total amount of people that use the internet in the North and South America is around 800 million, while it's approximately 500 million in Europe. And then of course there's approximately 500 million to a billion people that currently use the internet in India. And China and Russia both have access to the internet, of course, but they are censored, so they're not able to access as many websites as you are in the Western countries. So to cut off an entire portion of the Western civilization from being able to access the internet, such as Europe, you'll be restricting websites' traffic rates from Google and YouTube and all kinds of other places by 500 million people. So if you make YouTube videos and you live in the Western world, obviously your videos are going to be trafficked more towards people that also live there. So if we take away a potential audience of 500 million people, YouTube and all other websites are going to be generating a lot less money, which means they're going to have to cut down on all kinds of features of their websites. They're going to have to fire a lot of people, and they're going to have to charge more for their ad rates using Google AdSense, which is going to make companies not want to advertise with YouTube, which will inevitably make them make less money in total. Not to mention all of the small websites that barely get even 1,000th of the amount of visitors as Google and YouTube and other websites like that don't even stand a chance when putting up with this kind of a change. They will have to pay millions of dollars to bigger websites like Google to license off software which will be able to manually get around the regulations that will be set in place by Article 13, which will make millions of small businesses and websites completely go out of business. And millions of content creators on websites will no longer be able to make a living off of it, even if you don't live in the places that are affected. So yeah, this is an incredibly big deal, and the fact that most people don't even know about it is extremely concerning. This could very well be the fall of the internet, at least in terms of within the Western world as we know it. But of course, this doesn't mean that this is the end of the world. We could still do things to stop this. Article 13 may have been passed, but it still isn't fully in regulation. And there still could be a future where we can abolish it and completely get rid of everything that has to do with it. But as of right now, this is the future of the internet. It's not feeling too good. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure you just kindly annihilate the blue thumb button. Make sure it's blue, and you'll get 10 years of good luck. And also, I will see you guys in the next one.